Greg, it's the day in.
For some reason, you also.
That's not how you search.
You all right? Yes, sir. Don't you need company?
I didn't bother you with everything that's been going on yet, but after this, I'd like Matthew and you to chief to meet with you. I got written and what I told her, I said,
Just to teach you. I want to show this to the audience too. I need you. One side, like you're going down the lane. It's either you and Boo. Oh, yes. I do have a speech to take.
I want you to be.
I saw one that he read in New York. He's driving one.
I was.
I was in Walmart yesterday.
They didn't buy them.
I mean, yeah, I should. That's all right.
Here's his favorite.
Yeah, just don't get recognized for it. I might need to ask her.
And then what's right there in the corner?
Yeah.
Let's
moves the money into uniforms. I'm gonna move some uniforms.
Sept this morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
See, after a long holiday, or was it a long holiday? Regular meeting of the County Commissioners Court, September the 8th. We have a quorum established, Commissioner Karbowski, Commissioner Arthur here. And on Zoom, we have Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Reeves, also present, Auditor Dwayne Gott, Engineering Administrator David Douglas, our Fire Marshal Bill Huntermuller, and our County Treasurer Kim Harris, and Captain Billy Knox from Liberty County Sheriff's Office. At this time, we'd all rise. We'll have the pledges. Please oppose. And after that, this invocation.
Face to face, the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please face the Texas flag.
All right, Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Pray for me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning, Lord, thanking you for this beautiful day you've given us. Thank you for all the blessings that you've given us. Lord, thank you for sending your son, Jesus, to die for our sins. And we know if we do your will, Lord, we can be with you in heaven. Lord, I ask at this time that you be with the judge and the commissioners as they make decisions affecting the county. Give them the wisdom, Lord, to do what's right for everyone, Lord. We thank you for their service. Lord, I ask that you be with our nation, with our county, and the civil unrest. I ask, Lord, that we can find a peaceful agreement to everything that's going on. I also ask, Lord, for a cure, a vaccine for the pandemic that's affecting so many people, Lord. Lord, please forgive us when we fall short. In your son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Notices and proclamations. Little comment. Mr. Trotter, how you doing today? See you back there.
Doing well, sir.
How are things up in Cleveland at the CISD?
Other than a few road issues, we're all right.
Yes, sir. I understand that. I understand. Good to have you with us. Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
All right. First item up, number 6, consent agenda. Everyone have to look over the consent agenda. Are there any questions, comments? And Dwayne, have any add-ons?
Yes, I have one. It's to Robert Kistner for a soil test at the new sheriff's department. It's for $11,887.50.
What's the name again on there, Dwayne?
Raba, R-A-B-A, Kistner, K-I-S-T-N-E-R.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
That's all.
Five,
Yes, sir.
the $3,260. You remember a few weeks ago, we came before you and requested permission to spend some money for the days at a police department for a cop sync and another type of system. Well, they found after, and they'd be better to speak to this than I would, but after we bought those two items, they weren't, I guess the best way to put it, they weren't talking appropriately with their court system. So this expenditure is to help that system work in concert with the court system for ticketing. Can you, is that?
Yeah, that's it. The old system, the system we have now versus the new system we go to, we've had that system for ever and a day, but the tickets to transfer over so that we don't have to go and make 3 or 4 different copies, we have to have the bridge. And to make that bridge, it's very expensive. It's a one-time cost, but for them to bridge it, we have to spend that kind of money because they have to rewrite some of the software stuff that make them communicate back. Like with, the constable's office have it, and their system just transfers over. Ours, we will, but it won't right now.
The other expense there is for laptops. It's 6 laptops, so for the 6 attorneys in the office. We got with Nick Dennis, we had 1 or 2 that went down. That was all 6 were purchased at the same time, so this is kind of a preemptive to replace all 6 now.
Discussion.
I move we approve the consent agenda with additional Dwayne.
Second.
Motion from Greg. Second from Bruce. To approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Likewise, nays. Thank you. That motion goes carried. Regular agenda, number 7.1. We said the 2020 proposed tax rate for Liberty County, Texas, and in the public hearing for September 2nd, 2020 at 8:45 a.m. And when you have a tax increase, you have to do things a little bit differently. Different notifications, appropriate notifications. But when you don't have a tax increase, you don't have to. And I believe this time around, correct me if I'm wrong, Dwayne, but I believe we even have something better than the old tax rate. So I'm gonna leave it at that. But we do need to set the tax rate for Liberty County and set a public hearing for this tax rate September 22nd at 8:45 a.m. Matthew, is that the way you look at it, Dwayne?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve setting the public hearings and setting the tax rates at the public hearing. Well, actually, hearing tax rate public hearing. At 8:45 on the 22nd of September. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Number 7.2, consider and approve the order designating the second and fourth Tuesday of each month as days on which the Commissioners Court of Liberty County, Texas will convene in a regular term. And this is the same as it's been, well, not quite 184 years, but it's enough. That's what we do every month. What's the court's pleasure?
Move approve.
Second.
Got a motion, Greg, second, Bruce to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Number 3, consider and approve the 2021 holiday schedule for Liberty County. Hoping y'all had the opportunity to look over that.
Move to approve.
Second.
That motion, Greg, second, Bruce to approve. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Number 7.4, hazard pay. Multiple departments consider approved hazard pay policy for any county department whose department head or elected official decides to award it in consideration of any necessary budgetary transfers to affect the purposes of the policy. This has been tabled from the last couple of meetings, and trying to get down to the bottom of it maybe today. Matthew?
I'm not sure if I have a different version of the agenda today. Mine says consider and approve resolution authorizing hazard pay to employees, departments, excluding any departments which receive an award of hazard pay to be paid from excess funds from the current fiscal year budget of the district attorney.
That is what it says.
He must have got the Tower one that didn't print out.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that's the one mine says. Which is, like I said, I've offered that before. I don't know how my excess will pay for the entire county. But if it does, great. I don't think that's possible. But then again, I know of no department that reached out to me and I want in on that besides the constables. So, and I've already said that that's, if I had to give you a list or an order, constable's offices first, and then after that, whoever else asks. No one else has asked, I will say that.
Judge.
Yes, sir.
When y'all pass this last court, is it going to be effective from last court or this court to do this?
It can only be effective for the departments that were mentioned at last court, which were, I think, 4 of the constable's offices, 3 plus county attorney and district attorney. So my understanding, Blaine, correct me if I'm wrong, is it looks like the numbers for everybody else for starting from today to the end of this fiscal year, 3 weeks away. It's somewhere around 90,000.
Right, there's enough surplus in the district attorney's office to do this. So we're gonna pay the county attorney, from last court, county attorney and district attorney's office, and constables 4, 5, and 6, correct? Or was it 3 constables? How many constables was it?
Are you talking about the ones that were specifically put on the agenda?
Last time, I know there was 3, and I think y'all might have added 1. I'm not for sure.
2 times.
It was two times ago, because the original agenda item was not placed. Well, I didn't do the language, and it did not list every constable's office. And then when we came back the last time, we asked for all the constable's offices to be in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it might have been all. I apologize.
But if you're talking about the very first time it was on the agenda.
All right. So the start is, I'm just trying to get the start date down. It's going to be the last commissioner's court for y'all's 2 offices and all the constables. And from today's date, it'll be for everybody else that wants to participate, correct?
That's what I understand.
Okay.
And again, I've gotten no requests from any other. I have none.
So we're just going to do the county attorney, district attorney, and all the constables then, correct?
So, I mean, I think a motion here could be something like a motion that says, if a department notifies the treasurer's office effective today that they wish to participate, then their employees shall be paid according to the same hazard pay schedule that is approved for the sheriff's department, and that all together, all that will be paid from the excess in the district attorney's.
So, okay, so
Has other funds that can cover it?
Yes.
So that's what we're going to do. It's going to be from last commissioner's court, DA, county attorney, and all constables, and everybody else. If they notify the treasurer's office today, they'll be eligible for it. Okay, so, all right, and then we're going to need a budget. I mean, another meeting, probably maybe Friday, where I can do a budget amendment for this.
We're asking for the same rate, $8 for all law enforcement police officers. I think that's what the sheriff said, and $4 for everyone else.
All right, okay.
Is there enough money in it to do that for everybody that's after?
Yes, there's enough money.
What if all the other departments decide to jump in?
And there's enough money.
Huh?
There's enough money.
I think because the budget year ends in 2 weeks, you're right, 22 days.
You sure we're not losing sight that this is taxpayers' money? When you say excess funds, that you're in any budget, you're going to have money left over, you're budgeting for that entire year. And every year we depend on this excess budget to go back in to help us for the next year or so. So, I mean, when we're considering this, let's not lose sight that this is taxpayers' money. Throughout this COVID, we've had people that's lost their jobs, their cars, their homes, that hasn't had the opportunity. The taxpayers pay us well for doing the job. We've done that job. Now we're asking for hazardous pay. I just don't quite understand.
Certainly, and again, I can go back to if the sheriff's office if you didn't change the rules to allow the sheriff's office to do it, no other department, I don't think would be asking.
I believe the sheriff's department was the only department that had no choice but to have boots on the ground.
I don't think so. We never closed.
If you remember, my argument was just that. If you do this now, if you open a can of worms, you can't put the lid back on. Simple as that. But,
Judge, can I?
Sure.
Of course, my office has not applied for these funds and really don't intend to. They showed up to work. They worked half the schedule. They got 50% off. They never missed a check. And again, I'm not saying that, I just don't want to make sure how we're defining the hazard. Okay, I understand if law enforcement is out during 24/7 that they had to be under any emergency situation. I don't see that my staff was exposed to emergency situation. We were open from 8 to 4:30, close half hour for lunch, and actually were afforded a lot of time off. We went on the 50% schedule for March 23rd. I haven't calculated the number of hours, but really, I felt like my staff actually, by showing up to work, they got paid, they got all the benefits, and they actually got off half the time. So I'm not trying to diminish any other department. I'm just saying, I'd hate that my department hears, hey, why didn't you go to bat for us and get us that extra $4? And to me, I can answer that, and I will answer that today. That this is not something I felt like was defined, but I was asking for some clarification. What is considered hazard duty? I mean, every day you go to the tax office, that kind of thing's a little hazard duty, but that's not near to diminish what we're talking about here. It's a whole different category. So if I could get some clarification on that, I'd appreciate it for me to be able to talk to my staff, and I think any other department that's in that same position other than law enforcement. And so that was all I was trying to do.
We gotta remember too, it's not back pay. It's only pay from the day that the court approves it going forward. When we keep talking about that the sheriff's office or whatever departments were open during this time, they're not being paid extra for that time. They're being paid extra for the period of time when the court approves it going forward, which every department was open as far as I know from that point in time. So it wasn't just one that was, normal business. They all were from the point in time it was approved.
But we were open 8 to 4:30.
Let me clarify something. We're paying them from the date it's the services that are being performed now. We're not paying them for services that were performed during the shutdown because that would be illegal. We're paying them for what is done at the time that they're working now forward, or when we approve the sheriff's department from the time forward. So when y'all talking about paying them for working when we were closed, y'all are describing an illegal act that we done been down that road before.
Okay, so can we get a definition going forward? What is considered hazard pay to qualify for it? So you're saying if we don't put in for it now, we're not eligible if we do get into the hazard duty. So I would just ask for some clarification.
We're paying them for working from this day forward, and for the constables and the county attorney and district attorney's office from when y'all approved it last time. We can't go back in time and say, well, he worked, they worked. Well, basically, we're all working right now.
I understand that, but can you define what is hazard duty going forward? I mean,
that's up to, this is a decision for Commissioner's Court, but
that's what I'm asking for, to make sure that I understand what we're actually asking for. Right now, I don't, again, I'm just maybe going back. I know it has to be from Commissioner's Court action going forward, but what are we asking for? I guess it's some clarification. Maybe I'm in the dark on this, but I'm just trying to, if I'm trying to make a decision today by 4:30 or 5 o'clock to see if my staff is participating in this, I'd like a little clarification from the court.
I don't think the court's defined it, and not to speak for you, but correct me if I'm wrong, please, since I'm working during this disaster declaration, because this has been declared a disaster for all intents and purposes. So,
yeah, I agree. That's it. You show up to work. That's it.
Going on my definition of it, it's wiping out my surplus, period.
So you're saying if we show up 40 hours, we'll get $4 an hour on top of it. So instead of making $16 an hour, they're going to get $20 an hour. And then all the benefits will be tied to that as well, and all the retirement and all these things. So I'm just asking, I'm not trying to pick a fight here. I'm just trying to say, I want some clarification. And I can tell you that my staff, my department would not be participating in that, because I think we have been paid and will get paid. Now, if something comes up in the road where they got to get out and block traffic or do something that is exposing them to danger, which is trying to find out what is it. So you're saying simply by showing up to work, you're going to get an extra $4 an hour. under emergency status, and it doesn't change your job one bit in my office. You're still working the same. Your
Rick,
job-
Rick, if that's the case, then don't ask for it.
I didn't hear.
So if that's the case, then don't ask for it.
Okay, that's all I was clarifying. Thank you.
Yeah. No, that, I can cite many different departments that worked during this COVID problem. Emergency management, for one, we started on March the 3rd. That's when we pushed the button, and I know that group is not taking a day off. Except for one that actually was exposed and had to take off 2 weeks. But as far as Krista and Danielle, I mean, we were there every day. Dee Dee in my office, same thing. Never taken a day off. We were here the entire time. But that goes along with the job itself. My phone rings, it doesn't matter if it's Sunday morning at 6. It's gonna ring, so you're on duty no matter what. Was that a COVID exposure potential? Heck, yeah. I mean, anybody's gonna have it. But this is the kind of stuff when you open a can of worms like we did previous. And don't get me wrong, I understand that, Chief, Logan, Sheriff, you know, asking for extra to help out. But we voted years ago, I know 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, to not do this ever again. And here we are back in that same pickle. So I've spoken my piece. You get off into the surplus as far as the budget goes. That's what we use to make sure things balance, or actually not only balance, but far exceed a balance. And it provides a surplus that goes back into the fund balance. And that's what gives us those great S&P Standard & Poor's ratings. That's how we can get monitors there better. That's my viewpoint. I look at the dollars and cents in it, and I also look at the heartstrings that are attached as well. But it's going to be the court's pleasure, whatever it is. But I need a motion in a second. You don't need to vote on this. Let's put it to bed.
I make the motion that we approve this, Jay. It's the salary's already budgeted for this year. We're fixing to enter into a new budget. And so I make the motion, we approve this with the exception of starting today, anyone else that feels that there is a need for hazardous duty pay, that they contact the treasurer's office. And if so, then that pay will start as today until the end of the fiscal year.
That's a motion. Do I have a second? We'll give it a little bit there, fellas. Anybody need a break? We have a motion before the court. Still waiting on a second. All right, not hearing a second. That motion dies for lack of second.
Let me make this clear, Jay. As it stands right now, we are paying the county attorney, district attorney, and all the constables, correct?
You're breaking up again, Leon. Couldn't hear you.
Matthew, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, that's my understanding, because we had the prior, for county attorney, district attorney, and several constables.
Yeah.
And so this would exclude county clerk, district clerk, treasurer's office, and any other department. I'm not thinking of auditor's office, et cetera. Ricky Brown's office.
It would include our engineer's office.
Engineers, yeah, engineering, permitting, yep.
When those good folks are all out there in the public, taking care of business and doing their inspections and dealing with all these individuals, and we don't have a second. Is that correct, Matthew?
That's my understanding.
Thank you.
That's that.
That's it.
Motion down for lack of second. Number 5, consider and approve Texas Vine Service Agreement Annual Renewal. And that's just what it is, an annual renewal. Y'all have the, in your package, you can have the information there.
Nothing's changed on it.
No, sir.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Bruce to approve, second from Greg. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, Joe. Number 6, consider and approve payment to Harris County Radio Services at a cost to be shared as follows. City of Dayton is $10,460. City of Liberty, $29,455, and Liberty County pays $54,920.33. This is just like we did last year, and pretty soon I'm hoping we have our own radio tower. We can send this one back. But I think we're 2 years away, Sheriff, at the most.
Awesome.
What's the court's
Make a
pleasure?
motion to approve. Second.
Motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And likewise nays. That motion is carried unanimous. Thank you. 7, consider and approve annual selection of employees for the sick leave pool review committee. I have this nice little box that Ms. Harris provides us with every year. Are you there?
Yes, sir. I am here, and we need you to pull out 3 names. The first 2 will be the regular members of the committee, and the last one will be the alternate.
Joshua Mitchell. Michelle Connor. Frederick Bird.
Okay, Judge, thank you very much.
Back over again.
I think you might need a motion to approve.
Yeah, make a motion to approve. Second.
Got a motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve the safety pool review committee. Withdrawn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. Number 8, consider and approve the interlocal agreement between Liberty County Constable Precinct 5 and Tarkin ISD.
Move to approve.
Second from Bruce. All in favor say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, Jim. 9, consider and approve open enrollment for TAC, Texas Association of Counties Cyber Security Training, fulfills Texas Government Code 2054.5191. Law requires all county elected officials and local government employee who has access to a local government computer system or database to complete an annual cybersecurity training course. The deadline, June 14th, 2021. And, whether y'all like it or not, y'all gotta do it.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion from Bruce. Second, Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Likewise, nay. That motion carries. Thank you. Number 10, consider and approve distributing evenly $2,360 received and unpaid capital credit distributions from the state. $10,433 will be donated to CASA, and $10,433 will be donated to Bridge Haven. It's probably what we do every year, so there's your choice.
Second.
Got a motion from Greg, second from Leon. To approve, all in favor, say aye. Likewise, nay. So that motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 11, consider and approve health services agreement between Liberty County and Southern Health Partners Incorporated for the necessary medical care for inmates and detainees of Liberty County Jail, 1st of 2020. And Penny, I know you're here to give us a little enlightening report of what we're going to do with this, because we have to have it.
Yes, sir, Judge, and court, good morning. I think we've gotten everything that we required for our medical, our jail medical in the 20-page that we have right now. There is some things that I sent to our county attorney, Matthew Poston, to review, and it was under our prescription contract. We had looked at doing directly contracting with CorrectRx. We had looked at that first, and then we looked at putting it under the contract, which would be under the professional services. And I think, and I'll let our county attorney speak to that, but I believe that we're thinking that we do need to go through the direct contract. So
yeah, so you know, you have to look at these contracts for all the parts that are going to go under it. And my concern is if we put something in it that would have to be bid out otherwise, then we might get our hands slapped down the road. So I think what we have to do is carve out the pharmaceuticals part of this contract. Otherwise, this is a good Professional Procurement Act kind of contract. You can't bid it out. And so what we have been back and forth with them. We're on a tight timeline. I'm aware of that, but we just don't have an updated contract that carves out the pharmaceuticals. So I'm going to ask the Commissioners Court table this right now, and when we get that contract from them, we put in a request late last week to them, and then I would ask for at the earliest opportunity, either at even a special meeting later this week, if we can get time to do this. But at this moment, I can't recommend that y'all sign the current contract that we have.
Make the motion to table.
Got a motion from Leon to table. Second from Greg. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, that motion carries. 'Tis the season for special meetings. Well, it always happens this time of year. Number 12, consider and approve resolution for advanced funding agreement between Liberty County and Texas Department of Transportation for bridge replacement located at County Road 109 in White's Bayou. Catherine.
Judge,
Yes, ma'am.
back in July, Commissioner Karbowski came to the court with a contract for an advanced funding agreement between Liberty County and TxDOT for the replacement of a bridge located at CR 109 in White's Bayou. I'm here today with a resolution to be attached to that advanced funding agreement. This resolution acknowledges Liberty County's 10% portion of the total cost of that bridge replacement, which is that our portion is estimated to be around $16,000. Well, what this resolution does, it allows us to perform our 10%. I think it's called participation waived is what the resolution, the term it uses. It allows us to essentially work off our $16,000. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. It allows us to work it off.
Much rather work it off than,
How bad you want a fridge?
I want this big fridge pretty bad.
Now, I will say we have to document it so that the work performed is either equal to that 16,000 or greater than.
Make a motion to approve.
I think that was Boo. I'm gonna get that over to him. Got a motion from Bruce, second from Boo. To approve, all in favor, say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate your help.
Thank you, Catherine.
Absolutely.
Number 13, we're gonna have some discussion on this, and there's a simple reason. I think a whole lot of untruths are floating through the county on what a 381 is, and what are the merits of a 381, how 381 is even formed, and then again, how it's executed, and then how the funding is at least resolved through a 381. Furthermore, what is the life expectancy of a 381? Okay, some people think that this thing is just everybody in the county pays for it. Wrong. Next thing, everybody thinks the 381 never goes away. The next answer, wrong. The third thing is the amounts that will be paid and how they are at least decided upon per year until the 381 agreement or the cost of the project within 381 is retired. So I'm going to probably be getting Matthew and Rick to give us a little bit of insight on this thing. Matthew, what is the 381 agreement? I know we have, with the cities, we have a 380 agreement that you can exercise if you please.
Yes.
You have a 381 agreement you can exercise if you please with the county.
Yes.
Okay. So if you would elaborate somewhat, please.
Generally speaking, 380, 381s are vehicles for economic development, okay? And there's various different mechanisms you can use under there. In this instance, this is an agreement to more or less reduce the taxes in exchange for the building of a sheriff's substation. So it's dollar for dollar value is coming to the county and leaving the county. Okay, so we've agreed to reduce the taxes of how many tax accounts?
20,000.
20,000, yeah, 20,000 tax accounts for the term of this. 381s have a max life expectancy of 10 years. This will not take anywhere close to that. I mean, what trade, best guess is probably
Next year.
Next year, yeah.
Maybe.
So this, in all likelihood, all economic likelihood, will have paid for a new sheriff's substation in Plum Grove by next year. Okay.
Matthew,
Yes.
just not a new sheriff's substation, is it? Isn't there our tax office and permitting office and stuff going to be in there also?
Engineering and permitting, I can't, honestly, off the top of my head right now, I can't think of all the different, I know that. No tax office, but if they're, other than engineering and permitting, other than sheriff's.
I believe the constable is gonna put a person out there, have a office out there also.
Yeah, a spot for, constable. Yeah.
So this, Matthew,
Yes.
this would help those folks up in the north end of that county greatly, wouldn't it?
Without a doubt, yes. So, I think one of the prior commissioners when we were talking about the ESD, I made a statement that the development has placed a burden on the various governmental services, the school district, the county services, the cities, et cetera. This is one of the ways, though, that the developer is working with us to try to expand those services, make it more economically feasible for the county to provide services.
Would you say also, Matthew, a better quality of life?
Absolutely. And so from the developer's perspective, at least what I imagine, he wants to develop and sell tracts. Well, one of the ways you do that is by showing prospective buyers, hey, we've got law enforcement presence there. There's schools being built. I know he has set aside and that Cleveland ISD has built a school there. So this is one of those ways that if the county and he can show that there's law enforcement services there, it makes folks feel safer when they buy there. And we, on the other hand, are getting something built for us, and we're paying for it, but we're paying for it dollar for dollar. So nobody's getting anything out of this beyond that.
Next question. On the retirement of the 381 agreement, does that property become property of Liberty County?
Yes, that is correct. We will receive a deed to it.
Okay. Rick, you have a map.
Yes, sir.
If you would, I'd like you to come over here and put it in front of the camera.
Vanna, you want to? No.
She failed it.
Oh, my goodness.
I tried to get her to do it.
Right over here.
Yeah, let me show you.
Closer. You have to get a little bit closer.
Okay.
Get up
I
closer.
know they can't hear, but they ought to be able to see.
Yeah.
Is that good for everybody?
There you go.
And basically, this is the original legal description. We were given some 29 tracts of land described. And you can see all the different colors. And basically, these are the subdivisions of Colony Ridge as they stood back in the day. We got CAD, because basically all we were given was 29 legal descriptions, which is attached to 381. So fortunately, I was able to take those legal descriptions, which were just lots and plats, and the Central Appraisal District, through Sharon Harbor's assistance, actually converted all these to accounts, tax accounts. And at the time, when we started our, well, let me kind of back up what Matthew said. We didn't necessarily reduce the taxes. The way the 381 works, we take the 2018 established Central Appraisal District value on those 29 properties, which we established, they established at $483,139,850. Then we take the 2019 value of those same properties, which according to the Central Appraisal District was $570,827,550. And then the difference in those two values is what is called the captured value. And is the captured value that we apply towards this 381 funding. So that was a difference of $87,667,700. So that's 87 million. We didn't give them taxes on the whole 300 or 570 million. We just gave them the increase in value from 18 to 19. So that was 87 million. Then when you take our 19 rate, 0.5788, that comes up with a total, if they paid every account, $507,536.41. But as you know, not everybody pays their taxes. I have to admit, they were fairly good on their rates. We through calculations, we found out there was like 600 delinquents, which is not bad. It's very good, in fact. And that was for $106,129. So that has to come off of the 507. Again, we're getting into the weeds. Dwayne, I'm gonna give you a breakdown on all this. But we also found that when we came to court, we actually found there was $1,750 were collected of those delinquents. So we added that back in. So today, what I'm coming before the court and recommending is that we actually it came up to $403,160.53 is what the county's obligation to the 381 to pay out.
400 what?
400 and, sorry, I didn't bring my glasses, $403,160.53. Now that'll be deducted from the 1.5 million, you know, so that leaves roughly $1.1 million that will be coming out. Now, I know we talked about 20,000 accounts, and we actually got the statement from the 381. They told us, they sent us the whole 20,000 accounts, but actually for 2019, we went in and verified all 13,100 accounts and how much money was paid in, and it was $3,196,000. We did not, and there's several of their accounts, no payments were received on because they weren't billed in 19. So you're going to capture that next year, the difference between 19 and 20. So I'm saying, whereas we looked at 13,100 accounts this year, it's going to be 20,000 plus, you know, for next year. Of course, when they did their calculations, their representatives said that we owed them $907,000 less the $106,000 of delinquents, meaning that $907,304. If those 20,000 accounts had paid in 19, I agree, but those were not paid, not all of those. We only verified on the 13,100 accounts. This is the difference between 18 and 19. So that's why we have a big difference from them. And they didn't send us anything who paid. They just said if all these accounts, and their values was 650 million. And remember, we were 570 million. So that's $80 million of accounts we have not collected any taxes on yet because they weren't billed for 19, but they'll show up in 20. So I'm saying next year it's going to be accelerated, and it may not get the whole $1.5 million, but you'll get a pretty good chunk of it and may carry over to the next year.
So potentially the 381 can be retired possibly next year.
Possibly, but for sure the next year. And I don't know, because these payments are recorded every August, so it's after we look at it. But again, having to go through 13,100 accounts and listing each one of them, we're trying to simplify the process. I think CAD is now labeling these accounts, and they're going to actually do some of the figures for us for the first year. And that's why it took us a little longer to get these things done with COVID and everything else.
One more clarification. Does anybody in the city of Liberty pay into this account?
Liberty or Plum Grove?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there.
Okay, I'm not listening.
Does anybody in the city of Liberty pay into this?
Oh, no, sir. No, only these accounts, these 29 properties, because the boundaries have to be decided when you do the 381. That's as much a part of how much you're doing versus who's involved in it. So these are and my understanding is they can't even add them unless there's some kind of process to add to it. But
so
since you mentioned the city of Plum Grove, is anybody in the city of Plum Grove having to pay into that?
I don't see the city of Plum Grove. I know y'all can't see the map, but I have. None of these are in the city of Plum Grove. These are all what is known as the 4 or 5 subdivisions of Colony Ridge and some developed land that's probably has been developed in the lots, or the plat's been extended. And that's what happened between 19 and 20. Some of this 600 acres of timberland was valued at X dollars. Now they converted into, 1,500 lots or something. So they're going to have a.
So we could safely assume that Plum Grove, city of Plum Grove, does not contribute to this.
I know they don't. They're not on this map. I don't know that the boundaries, if they've done any EJGs or ETJs, I guess, third time's a charm. But what's been presented to me is City of Plum Grove is not. Now, I'm not an authority on that. I'm just going to go by. This is the map that Central Appraisal District converted to and gave us all these lots, which helped us greatly in getting these things done.
So let me have one more question. Does the city of Plum Grove derive benefits from this 381 with the sole purpose of it having an annex the Sheriff's Department, Constable's Office, and for Liberty County Engineering.
That a loaded question?
No, it's just a yes or no.
I would say no. To my knowledge, no.
They don't get any benefit from it?
Well, I would say if I could, Joe.
I'm gonna-
I mean, yeah, so the city of Plum Grove has no police department.
Right.
Liberty County Sheriff's Department provides all law enforcement services in that area. So the benefit the city of Plum Grove is getting is that they have closer law enforcement presence there.
Right.
And my understanding is it's going to be quite a facility. I mean, it's very needed. The sheriff's office definitely needs it.
Judge,
Yes,
could we table this and so that we can just double check the numbers and then revisit this next commissioner court meeting?
that's gonna be up to the commissioners, really. I understand your point.
I mean, just so we can verify the numbers are correct. I don't want to approve a number that we tomorrow find out is an inaccurate number.
We've spent a lot of time on this. I know we're through verifying this. I'm going by what the Central Appraisal District gave me. And again, I think the difference is, it's just, I mean, we have over 7,000 accounts that paid no 2019 taxes that are included in the deal. I feel comfortable that you're
comfortable with your number.
We're comfortable with what the Central Appraisal, I'm not gonna challenge the Central Appraisal District's information. And technically the 381 was supposed to tell us who paid, not if everybody paid what it was. And again, I understand we took that on and we did due diligence on it. And clearly you can see there's a variance of 7,000 accounts and $87 million of value. I'm not disputing that the value's not there. I don't think it meets the terms of the 381 for this year. And really, when they made their request to put the 200-something thousand to offset the completion, the other 600,000 was just going into their account. So to me, it was 200-something thousand to match the percentage of completion. And the other 600,000, if they got the 900, was to go to be deposited into their account for the rest of this proceed. So that's what challenged me to go in and do a little bit of work on it. And we have spent a lot of man hours going through each of these accounts. They have the same information as far as who paid, but we actually verified payment and applied it. And I think the difference is when those accounts, if they paid in 19 or not.
Do you see a problem in Colony Ridge, the opportunity to look over these?
No, I have no problem with them.
They are owed the money, not us.
Exactly. But to me, the audit department has put it on me to certify that this is supposed to be paid. And to me, I've given you my certification on it. And to me, I don't see any changes from that.
If we approve this amount today, and you come back next week, and y'all together find that there was additional evidence, you can bring that back and add the additional, is that correct?
I don't think there's anything prohibiting that.
No, I wouldn't see any issue with that.
It's just,
we're open to sit down and, figure out whatever details, or concerns there might be, though, of course.
In that case, that's fine. I do want to make one clarification. When he says deposit that extra money, the extra 600 into an account, it's not our account. It's an account held by, I just wanted to make it clear to the rest of the court. That's not, he's not giving that money to me. It's going to an account that's held by the county until those funds are spent and then to reimburse the next office.
yes, I didn't mean to intend it was going to your account. It wasn't going directly to them to pay because the building wasn't at a certain point of completion, which it may be more than that now. That was back some 6 months ago. So again, the letter that we got basically gave all that information. I didn't make any of that distinction. And this came from their firm that actually presented this to it. And quite honestly, they worked with us because it was, the first thing was supposed to be due in March, in August, and then they agreed to, extend that, and they even agreed to extend it before. So I'm not saying they're not trying to get the information to us, but the burden is who paid, not if everybody paid, this is how how it is. So we had to actually do the verification on who paid, money received. And that's where we got this $3,196,000 by going through 13,100 accounts.
So what amount is due today?
403.
403, 160, 53.
403, 160 and 53 cents.
And if there's any owed more or less to them, we can still bring it up.
I assume, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
I think we got a pretty fluid agreement here because we're trying to, this is the first year we're doing it. And quite honestly, the mechanisms weren't set up 2 years ago when we signed this thing.
Yeah.
It's just kind of coming together now, and with all the stuff that's going on since January, it's been a little, but I feel good about what we have here by working with CAD and working with the one, that this is the difference between the 18 and the 19.
I'll make a motion to approve payment.
Got a motion approved, and I think, was that Lou that made the second?
Yes.
Got a motion approved, second. Move to approve. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries unanimously. One quick question, Matthew and Greg, how many of the 381s do we have together?
Active that we actually funding,
I believe we have Grand Oaks Reserve.
that's TERS.
It's TERS.
I don't know of any other one that we've actually inked. Now, what do we have with the rail?
That's TERS.
That's TERS also. I think this is really our only true one.
Yeah, somebody made mention the other day that we have agreements with Colony Ridge, Cleveland, and Dayton. Well, no, the county has a TERS agreement with Cleveland, the city of Cleveland, and as a developer.
Obviously not with County Ridge, that's with the development out on 105.
But that's the one.
And we just funded that the other day. We funded that.
That's Grand Oaks Reserve.
Reserve.
And we also have a TERS agreement with the city of Dayton and North Inland.
Right, but no funding, no taxes. I
hope they clarify. There's been a lot of misnomers out there about this.
And there is a lot of different tax increment financing agreements, like, and this is different from an abatement, altogether different. Because really you're taking tax dollars and putting them back into, you're taking them out of the county's use and you're specifically putting them in this area for this improvement. And again, the tax office, we chose not to put a tax office location, even though it was offered. It just felt like what we would have to staff up, what we'd have to have more facility and everything else.
It was written later on, we just might let you go.
Yeah, it just, to me, it just looked like more than we could handle at this point, so.
Yeah. I just want to get those clarifications out there, because there's a whole lot of bad information floating around about
and this is working like it's supposed to be working. It's really serving the purpose.
Number 14. Refund of the following accounts. Number, what was that? 107-562. Number City McDowell, the amount of $5,639.48. The next one was number 231973. Cat Hill D, where that is, LLC in the amount of $5,926.72. The third one is number 47461. San Loretta LLC in the amount of $2,800.44. $2,844.54. And the fourth one was 68453 Resource Management in the amount of $3,291.29. These are just overpayments, correct?
Yes, sir. Look, not a good thing. We could give out more money. We took in. It's not good. So let's see. Of course, the refunds over 2,500 require commissioner court approval. I have the details if you have any questions about any one of them, but they all applied for the refund. A lot of times, you know, the third parties pay their taxes and they pay the taxes and you know, it gets crossed in the mail or something. But you know, yes, all of these have been run through the deal, given back the money. We can't keep it twice. So it considers a refund and you have to do the time period and start paying it. So,
Motion to approve.
Motion Bruce, second Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, please.
Thank you.
That motion carries. Thank you, Jim. Yes. 15, the purchase of one Steelcraft heavy-duty grill guard and include installation to takes part in public safety. Liberty County Trooper at a cost of $629. That's yours. That's on your account. Correct?
Leon can't hear.
Can you hear me?
Leon.
Yes. Yes. Jay?
Yeah, no, yours, yeah.
Okay, I received a request from Trooper Daniel Hebert for the purchase of this grill. I found that Trooper Hebert is the only trooper that we have in Liberty County that is certified in what's referred to as the pit maneuver. And he's asked that Liberty County assist him with the purchase of this grill and installation. I've spoken with Dwayne about this. Dwayne has indicated that we do have the money for it. So I'll make the motion, we approve this request.
Second.
All right, got a motion from Leon, second from Bruce to approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Likewise, nays. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 16, consider approve the purchase of one 1998 RG and 50-ton low-boy trailer from individual Daniel Doolittle, cost of $35,000. Another
Jay, we've been trying to locate a good used heavy-duty haul trailer, and we ran across this one. It's in immaculate condition. We feel like that it's an excellent purchase for Liberty County. And I make the recommendation that we approve this purchase.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion from Bruce, second from Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye. Motion carries unanimous. Any need to go into executive session this time?
At this point?
Yeah.
We still got it.
The target special meeting?
Yes.
Oh, I don't think that one's still lit.
That's, yeah. We still got time to wait.
Yeah.
But no executive, we just had to list on the page. Alrighty. Takes care of business?
No, we still got 17, 18, 19.
Where is it?
There's a whole other page there.
I missed that page.
I was wondering what he was talking about.
That's the old one.
Sure.
No wonder I missed it. Yeah.
He picked up the thumb.
It's been a long, long weekend. Okay. Number 17. Hallelujah. Consider approved solicitation for RFPs for debris removal. There you are.
We had a multi-year contract. I think the debris removal was with Powder Gulf that ends pretty soon. We need the RFP. We also have, we've used them. HGAC has some contracts, Cloud has some, Cyborg has some contracts, but we'll do the RFPs and we can prepare
Same thing with this.
Okay.
Just like we did last year, but we needed it last year.
Well, 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, we always need it.
Yeah.
It needs to be good. Okay,
Yes.
all right. Number 17, consider approved solicitation of RFPs for debris removal. What's the court's
Make a
pleasure?
motion to approve.
Motion from Bruce, second Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries. Thank you. Number 18, consider solicitation for RFPs for debris monitoring. Basically the same thing.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion Bruce, second Greg. So we can monitor this stuff. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, motion carries. Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 19, consider approved purchase of 3 vans for Liberty County Jail. Here, what's going on?
I put this on here because we were discussing 3 vans, but I think Officer Sergeant Ronald, you found 2.
Apparently in the split with probation between Chambers and Liberty County, they have an excess of vehicles. They have 2 2005 transport vans and a 17 Explorer that they want to get rid of.
Already rigged out.
Well, we gotta put the cages in them. They don't have a transport cage in them, but they, talking to Ms. Bronner, she hadn't get the cost to them yet. So I don't know what that's going to be.
Super brother-in-law price, hopefully.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about possibly purchasing one new van?
Yeah, that's what I was
I
thinking.
mean, they're both 2005s, back and forth to the courthouse. If we gotta make another run to Beeville, I don't know if we wanna put a 2005 van with 17 convicts in it. So,
You got a price for a new one too?
38,000, I think is what they, that's rigged out.
And how many will it do?
15.
Is that
15 and
internal
2
Coven and the distancing the Coven?
Commissioner, I can't answer that question on transport inmates on that, I just get the vehicle. I don't know what that answer is.
If we order one, it's gonna cost, it could be months before we get one. So what we're doing is trying to find people on buy board, the HGAC that has at least one on their lot.
Do we have anything right now?
That was one of the reasons why I looked at probation with, this, they have them and want to get rid of them.
So this would get us out of a bind until we got this one.
So what we're looking at now is 1 used and 1 new van.
2 used with the warden said she really needs 3 of them to make a run to the hospital or something, and we were thinking that the Explorer would be a good hospital run, 2 guards and a inmate back would be better than a transport van that doesn't get very good gas mileage.
But do we have the amounts from Chambers County? Do we know?
No, that's why I'm waiting on Ms. Bronner to give me a price on it, the mileage on them, and I think 1 van is here, and it's a Dodge Sprinter van, 1 ton, and it's sitting over there behind the old jail, and then she's got another one in Cleveland that they're not using.
So the Commissioners Court today could approve the buy boards and then the contingent on finding out whether or not there is a possibility of buying one from Chambers County.
I would suggest I go ahead and approve the purchase of 3.
Yeah.
His works out fine, they don't, we can, do the full opposite.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that.
Make a motion to approve?
Got a motion, Bruce, second Greg to approve. All in favor, say aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries unanimous. Harold, I have a purchasing question for you. Can you come up a little closer? In purchasing, a question came up this weekend about why do we buy, or why does any government entity buy equipment from out of county? Why not buy it in county And the answer would be, we buy off government buy board.
Yeah.
First of all, we go for the low bid, no matter where it is. It might be in Dallas, Fort Worth, it might be in Liberty, Texas, if they even have it, and they participate in government buy board, correct?
Yeah.
And
We used
then-
to, trucks and vehicles, we pretty well used to do in county. You know, just bid packet, the whole thing. They either wouldn't bid or one or two might bid. They were never cheaper than the buy board, so prior courts, we just started going with buy board or HGSC, but that's always an option.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say we could bid it out to local, or you can't just say local, we can bid it out to dealers. And then we also had a buy board price and HGSC price.
Buy board and HGAC is always cheaper.
They usually have been.
Yeah. And the next part of the question is, buying in county does not mean that the county pays sales tax for this equipment. I believe it's RS code 501G, we were tax exempt, so there's no sales tax paid. Okay. Just want to clarify that. That was a question that was thrown in my lap, and I want to make sure that people understand.
It's always an option if y'all want to do that. It takes longer.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Number 20, consider approve request from Prosperity Bank to deviate from depository contract with respect to interest rate on newly acquired CO funds. Kim? Are you there?
I'm here, Judge. Prosperity Bank has requested a deviation from our current depository contract only for the account that has the current issue of certificates of obligation, the $25 million is the only account that they want to deviate from because this money was not expected. The current floor that Prosperity Bank provides to us on our money market accounts is 1.75%. The rate that they would like to drop down to on the certificates of obligation is 0.75%. So this is a business decision that the court needs to make. And I'm just presenting this on behalf of Prosperity Bank, and the letter that you have in your packet is from Marsha Lepore requesting that reduction in the rate.
Kim,
Yes, sir.
what's your recommendations?
Well, of course, I mean, you know, if you're running your own business and you've got a contract with somebody for a 1.75% interest rate on an account, I don't know if you're going to let them drop the drop the rate on you for another one. So, I mean, it's a business decision that the court's going to have to make, and you know.
Judge, I have not looked at this question, but in my mind, there are some questions about whether we can do that.
We table this?
I would recommend it. I will address it as soon as I can.
Got a motion, Bruce, to table? Got a second, from Greg? All in favor, say aye. Ayes, nays. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Number 21, consider and approve emergency ambulance service agreement with Liberty County EMS. Replacement of an existing agreement with the same entity effective immediately and terminating on September 30th, 2022, in which increased funding is provided in exchange for increased services and other requirements. Matthew, I know you had an opportunity to look over this.
Yes.
What is
So,
findings?
You know, it's been in the media quite a bit here lately, understandably.
You reckon?
Liberty County EMS, as y'all are well aware, provides unincorporated part of the county under contract with us. In small bit of history, it was, what, 300,000? About 3 years ago.
Yeah, 255.
255, that's what it was. We increased that to
By another 300,000.
Yeah, by another 300,000 year before last. But they are in having discussions with them. They're just in a budget crisis. and in part brought on by coronavirus. And so, you know, in order to maintain services, they're going to need more money. They come asking for more money. They've gone down to 2 trucks, and that is, from what I'm gathering, greatly increasing response times. What you have before you, should you wish to do it, does a number of things. It increases funding by $400,000 per year, or another $33,000 per month, bringing the total monthly to $77,916.66. But I've gotten with our fire marshal and kind of gone over some things that we can hope to expect from that. The biggest kind of ticket item there is that it would, under the new terms, it would increase to 3 trucks and a supervisor paramedic response unit, which would be something with a higher level paramedic supervisor in a small vehicle that can get to scene very quickly. Go ahead and start triage and go and start giving some care while the truck's on a shift. So it increases from 2 to 3 plus that supervisor paramedic response unit. The old contract had a annual cancellation option, but you had to give 90 days before the end of the budget year. Okay. The new contract, as I've put it forth, it would have termination by upon 90 days written notice. There are some other parameters where it be 60 or even 30 or even immediately. Those would be under extreme circumstances such as fraud or some sort of crime. Something I'm not necessarily worried about. It does maintain the ability of the county to audit the books of Liberty County EMS and to require monthly reports, and it spells those out. And then lastly, it has language requiring reasonable response times. You look at the language yourself, but it allows some flexibility, because we all understand that emergency services of any kind, whether it's law enforcement, ambulance, fire, et cetera, is sometimes gets backed up for extenuating circumstances anybody's control. I'm not trying to pick on anybody for those sorts of things. But what it does require is that in a single month out of any 2-month period, they demonstrate no crime failure to respond. Okay. It does provide a benchmark of saying what reasonable could be. Those are response times for our trauma service area as published in a certain document that I've listed in, which is it's an interesting read, and it's called Elected Officials Guide to EMS. It goes through a lot of the turmoil and concerns that EMS has to deal with. So, but I offer it for that for your review, for your consideration. You can tell me, Matthew, we as Commissioner Court would approve this, but I don't like this provision, or I want to change this provision. Whatever you all want to do, but I put it there just to give you some options.
Does it state, I'm going through it, does it state how many services or ambulances will be kept under the contract?
Yes, 3. So 3 trucks, fully staffed, fully equipped, plus that supervisor paramedic response unit.
As this ends September 30th, 2022.
Yes.
They've had to increase this but as population grows, we could be looking at the same thing next year, or down the road. Just layman's terms, basically, we need to raise this or raise emergency service for our citizens.
Yes. My understanding is that, I did a little research on Google, kind of seeing what the EMS industry at large is saying about coronavirus, and a number of them are finding it very, very difficult. As y'all may know, you wouldn't think about it like this, but hospitals suffer tremendously because a lot of people aren't going to the hospital anymore. So similarly, people just aren't calling the ambulance, otherwise they perhaps would. And so it's very difficult.
Hey, Matthew,
Yes.
we approved this morning. This would only benefit the health, safety, and welfare of our citizens, wouldn't it?
Yes, I believe that there is a legitimate public purpose here. I mean, what we're faced with, my understanding is otherwise they're going to have to cut crews and cut trucks down to 2, which is for a very brief time, my understanding is what they had to do. And so with that, now our prior contract said 2 trucks is fine, that they shall have staff and equip 2 trucks. So they were complying with that aspect, but nevertheless, the response times are going to stack up, and we're going to have issues for our citizens. It's a very, very real concern.
Dwayne, I'm sure that you are.
Yes.
We do have this funding.
Yes, I've already put a budget amendment in for this month of September, and on the budget that we're finishing up now, I've already got it included in next year's budget for the additional 400,000 or 33,000 a month.
So, and I will add this too. Ordinarily, whenever we do contracts, we like to have the other party sign first, and then I or whoever brings it to Commissioner's Court. This is a little different in that we're trying to operate under a quick timeline. So the Liberty County EMS is not this would at this moment be an offer under these terms, and they could accept, go ahead, sign and execute, and boom, we've got an agreement, or they could decline or start negotiating. So I just want y'all to understand kind of where that's at.
I make a motion we approve.
Second.
Motion Leon, second Bruce to approve. All in favor say aye. Aye. Likewise, nays. That motion carries unanimous. Now, executive session.
No, not here. 31 more minutes.
Got a motion, Bruce to in second. David Gregg, all in favor say aye. Likewise, nays. Yeah. One that's even better than the last one.
Matthew.
Leon needs you.
We're still live. Hey, Leon.